What the health social Jeremy Hunt will be saying in a speech later on today. Cordelia Kretschmar is in Westminster for us. These are very strong words from him, and he's expected to say that we're ignoring...
To quite clearly tell families in this country they need to take more responsibility for their own parents and for their grandparents. And he's making this speech at the National Conference for Services for the Elderly. So, in other words, he's telling families where they can, they've got to take responsibility away from the state. And he's going to make this very personal. He's going to refer to his own wife, Lucia Guo, who is Chinese, and he's going to talk about the reverence and respect that Asian cultures have for their elderly, telling British families they need to do more of the same. He will quote some pretty shocking figures. 800,000 people suffer from chronic loneliness in this country. That's according to the Campaign to End Loneliness. And 5 million people say that television is their main form of company. That's a shocking 1 in 10. So he's going to say loneliness is something we've completely failed to confront in Britain. And he may get himself into something of a row there, because government cuts to services for the elderly and to support for people who care for the elderly have been blamed for pushing some families to breaking point in the first place. So critics will argue that by asking these very families to do more today, he's being unfair.
OK, thanks very much, Cordelia. Let's get more reaction then from Jock Gibson from the National Pensioners Convention. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Where do you think that the problem lies? Do you agree with Jeremy Hunt that it is down to families and our culture in this country?
Well, let me just say for a start, I'm fed up with seeing these politicians come on wide-eyed and innocent and very concerned about us, when basically it's a lot to do with their policies. Mrs. Thatcher said there was no such thing as society. We've seen post offices closed, local communities broken up. We've seen people who are now struggling with the bedroom tax, where they used to be able to have their children over to
let's
stay.
not make it party political, because there's been a Labour government since Margaret Thatcher.
I'm not saying, I know, I'm not saying that. They closed post offices. They created problems in the social care system. I'm not party political.
So you don't agree that the family bears a responsibility?
Oh no, the family does. Families are struggling. I mean, if you've got a family that has a spare room and they're now being turned out of their house because of the bedroom tax, then they haven't got anywhere for the old person to stay.
That won't affect the majority of this million people who are lonely.
Well, it might not be a majority, but it's certainly a big problem. I mean, also in our members in local areas, country areas, you know, are finding that they can't get about because there are no bus services.
Yeah.
So it is a really, really very big problem. And of course, then we come to social care. 15-minute slots, I mean.
And do you think that, I mean, we had the lady on the other day who was going to be in charge of sort of Ofsteding, if you like, these care homes. Do you think that's going to improve matters?
I don't know. Every time there's a problem, they say there's going to be a regulation. Every time one of you lot goes in behind the cameras, you know, goes into a nursing home or and creates a, you know, puts it on television and everybody says, my God, that's terrible. It goes off after a couple of days. They react, but this reaction is no good. They have to have a plan for this.
But Dot, just briefly, I mean, people talk about the cultural differences. It's not just the younger people not wanting to look after the older people. The older people perhaps like their independence. I think my own Nana, who's 93, she doesn't want to move in with her children. She likes her independence.
No, nor would I. Want to move in. No, we do need our independence, but we also need facilities and we need help. People can be independent if they get proper help, and that proper help doesn't necessarily come. Well, we do, but in outer London, in country areas, there aren't any buses. You know, if they want to go to the theatre or something, they can't get back in the evening. So
you're not impressed at all, are you, with Jeremy Hunt? I'm getting this very clearly from you.
No, I'm not and I'm fed up with all of them. They're talking about cutting pensioners' universal benefits, and they're saying that because we're taking stuff away from younger people. My God, we've all got grandchildren. They've all got debts, or at least if they go into university, they've got debts. If they didn't go to university, they can't get training. I mean, we're very worried about the future.
Well, Dot, I'd be very glad to have you talking for me when I'm older. I'll be certain
join the
that.
National Pensioners Convention.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I hope Jeremy Hunt, he watches this programme, so I'm sure he's listening to what you've got to say.
He gets up early.
28 minutes past 6 now. Laura has the weather.